one thing I
Okay.
noticed, um, in New York, it's almost like you can't say anything against Israel, which I was quite shocked about. Is it the same down in Florida?
I think it's a mixed bag. You
Right,
go
so you're not as Trump
between
Towery as much
well,
down there.
I think it's probably worse down here, but it's not as much. Israel is any anti-Trump rhetoric does not go over very well.
Right. Okay. Cool. I'll do the internet. Guys, hello. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Sit Down for Stand Up. I have with me Mark, a comedian originally from New York, now down. It's down in Florida, isn't it?
Yeah, it's down.
Down. Okay. Okay. Go. We laugh at that straight away. Okay. Am I north or south to Hastings?
I don't know.
I rest my case then, Mark. I rest my case. I
I'm laughing for a different reason though, because in the US, what they say is you have to go north to go south. So
brilliant.
Florida, they don't really consider the South because you don't have the accent and the drawl and all that. So you have to go further north to get that. But that's what just made me chuckle was that, not geography.
Okay. Um. Okay. What about my accent? Would you be able to tell where I was from?
I would not.
No.
No. Where are you from?
Oh, I'm London.
You are, so you're back. So yeah, you were born and raised in London. Okay.
Yeah, but in London, there's a big difference between
Yeah.
north, east, south, and west.
Okay.
The accent show. I'm a southeast Londoner. But I'm trying to think how that compare. Be like New York and then going over to, I want to say Jersey, but that's more about Essex,
Yeah.
to be honest. So I don't know how it sort of transpires. But yeah, no. Cheers for coming on, dude. I'm interested to see what the comedy scene is like over in Florida, and how and
Mhm.
why you got into it. So we'll start off with that. Mark, how
Yeah.
and why did you get into comedy?
So originally, I got into it just as a way to meet new people, relocating from a bigger metropolitan area and then coming down into an area I knew nothing about. And I thought it'd be fun. You think you're funny in life, so you think it's going to be super easy to just to translate that onto stage, and then you realize it's terrifying.
Yeah.
So I took some lessons actually, and the first thing they did, they don't even tell you that your first session, you're on stage, so you just got to start delivering whatever you got,
Okay.
and it's beyond awkward getting up there and doing that. So it was fun. I think I realized right away I'm a bit more of a storyteller than the setup, and then a joke punchline kind of thing.
Good. Good. I
And
mean,
I watched my
without sounding vain here, stroke my own ego. I'm a storyteller, misdirectionist, and my
yeah,
favorite comedians are storytellers. So
cool.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm learning to throw more misdirection into it. Then, life just got crazy, crazy busy. I was so busy traveling with my full-time job. There was a point where the company I had been with, I was traveling all of North America and Canada. So there wasn't much time to do a whole lot, and then plane after plane after plane. So I stopped. But a long story short is 2 years ago, I got diagnosed with a chronic illness.
Right?
And
Not cool, but yeah, yeah. Go on.
a
Sorry.
few months into it, um, I started to go back into comedy. And for me, it was therapy because it was a way
Good.
to basically throw back and to laugh at what life was throwing at me and to heal.
Okay. Do you whack it in your set? Your
Dude. Yeah, I
misfortunes.
totally. Yep.
Good. I love that. They say the funniest place on earth is a cancer ward. No, no. When they're all not that. Sorry, that sounds bloody morbid. Like when
Yep.
they're all getting chemo, when they're
Uh-huh.
all there joking amongst each other, you'll get the darkest, proper gallows humour. But just we've been dealt a bad card. Let's make fun of it, and
Yep.
that is the beauty of comedy. Like
It
you
totally
can laugh
is.
at your misfortunes in life.
Yeah, you have to. I think that the challenging part is then on stage because the setup can't be this morbid kind of, like the first dot when I first got diagnosed, it's pancreatitis. So most people don't know what this whole thing is. I really had no clue. But the first doctor said if I was lucky, I'd have 10 years left to live. And I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
That's a nice punchline and I can't, but you don't start with that on stage. I found out later from work, then finally firing the whole medical team 3 months into it and starting new, that isn't necessarily the case. There were things that I could do. And that's when I finally started to breathe a little bit and say, okay, I need to move on with life here a little bit because
Yeah.
I'm still alive and I'm kicking.
Yeah, yeah, it was I'm still standing. Yeah, but that's
Exactly.
absolutely fantastic. So that was 2 years down. So the unfortunately the clock is ticking. So we're just sort of trying to make the most of everything and
Hmm.
getting covered. I thought it was quickly going back to the comedy class. I thought that was quite mad because I've never done a class, but I've had people on who run classes. Half the
Hmm.
people in bloody UK seem to come from a class, but it's always like a 6 to 8 week program, and then at the end they perform. Not
Yeah.
day one, you're in front of bodies. So
Yeah. And the US is, and I've done a couple of classes now, and you start day one in performing. You're not performing in front of an audience except for the other students, but then your graduation is to perform in front of a whole group. So
okay. And
that's interesting.
in Florida, what's like the usual attendance of a comedy gig?
It varies because you can get a lot of open mics and kind of stuff like that. You'll get 40, 50 people. There's some
Raw.
shows getting more traction. I mean, I think comedy's taken off so much in the US and in Florida. It's everywhere. I started to run a room with a really good friend of mine, Julie Fisher, as well, that we're
Mm.
doing just once a month, and we're getting like 25 to 40 people coming. And it's not just friends of the comedians. We're opening it up to the public, and that's how people are kind of finding us, which is good. But it's diverse, and I think we're trying to make it more diverse because I would 10 years ago, it continues to be that way in some cases. It can be a little bit lowbrow. So it's all, cheap shots, it's with sex jokes and things like that, but it's definitely
Right.
evolving.
Okay. We call that over here, which the North will disagree with how I say it. Like edgelords.
Yeah.
People trying to be edgy, and
Yeah.
dude, there's nothing wrong with. I always say there's nothing wrong with being edgy if you do it well.
Hmm.
But when you get, random Barry, never done comedy before, he wants to go up and start talking about all these profound things and doesn't know the art yet,
Yeah.
it's cringe. It's, you know what I mean? It's secondhand embarrassment. Um, okay, do you know what? I just want to quickly do some comparisons first, to be honest. How many women are in comedy? Like, say if you had a 10 people on the bill, how many would
Yeah.
be women to men? Like, or how many people apply and stuff?
It's growing. I would say it's probably maybe 3 to 10 or 3 out of 10 would be women.
Okay, yeah, Stan, yeah, I'd say applicant wise, I've seen in this country, once again, challenge me, people, is 1 in 6.
Hmm.
1 in 6. Okay, and it's growing, and which is fantastic as well. Because talking about, edge lords and people trying to be like that, you don't want to be hearing the same shit from 10 different people from different angles. You want new stuff,
Yeah.
new things that you wouldn't sort of originate from.
Totally, totally. And what I've been finding too is, when I've done the comedy night with my friend Julie, we've kind of gone over at the end, like, what was the best laugh of the night? And then, more often than not, it's been from one of the lady comics, and they've said something that's just stuck with me for days, and I'll continue to just laugh about it for no reason.
Oh, but I mean, one of the best jokes I've heard in recent times was by my mate Adam Wallace, and it was the UK's band American Bullies, XL Bullies,
Hmm.
the Dogs.
Yeah.
On another note, Lizzo no longer tours in the UK. Well, that was like, you have them jokes, and they will just stick with you for months,
Yeah.
and it just sort of brings the chuckle. I mean, so how did it go from like doing comedy to like running your own nights down in Florida?
Um, for me, it was an easier transition because what I do full time, a lot of time I'm presenting, I'm doing trainings and things like that. So I'm used to being in front of a crowd in that way. So in some ways, it's easy because it takes the pressure off. And when you can be a little bit more on the spot and in the moment with what you say, that can be an off the cuff funny remark based off of the person's set or something like that. So that's easy. And I love actually kind of sourcing and combining talent to bring diversity into a room. So again, you get that kind of mix that's not going to be the same thing. So everybody in the audience should find something that they can appreciate.
Mm. Oh yeah, 100 like queer like split bit split bill. So how do you sort of choose the acts? Like over here, until like you're recognised and like people start asking you, it's sort of like you just do like a Google online sheet or the Facebook forums, all that. Is it the same over there?
Um, Typically, because I work with a really great writers group here in Fort Lauderdale, who
Cool.
it's been amazing. It's basically like a total incubator comedy class for free where you get great feedback afterwards. So when on a Tuesday night, it's not unusual to get 20 to 30 people going up there to do a 4 minute set. So you can kind of see talent that way. And I've done a few other rooms like that where you're seeing a lot of newer talent. And then when you get into a showcase, then you kind of meet other people. So people who could be more of a headliner, people who you can trust that are going to have a 20-minute set and not fall apart.
Yeah. No. So how so okay. So I even on open mic level, what how long do they usually get?
Typically, it's up to 5 minutes here
Yeah,
for the most
standard.
part.
Yeah, standard here.
There's
Yeah,
a
you
few
start with a
rooms.
basic bitch five.
Yeah, a few rooms will give you 10 minutes,
Okay. Yeah, same here to be honest.
which
London.
I love.
In London, you got to suck the right people to get more than a five. But out in Essex, you get them instantly. And like, do you know what I mean? Up north, they're up there like that. Oh, okay, okay. Another one I want to ask then. I love this one.
Yeah.
In the London, we have the most stupidest thing in the world. I don't know if you've seen any of the episodes, and I am the biggest activist against them. A thing called a bringer spot,
Yeah, huh?
where you can only go on stage
Yep.
if you bring someone with you.
Yep.
Does that exist where you are?
It totally exists. It's some of the venues you have to bring 10 people in order to get stage time. And if you
10.
don't bring 10 people, yeah, if you don't bring 10 people, then they may not allow you on stage. And then there's been a bit of a discrepancy that these venues have dealt with of favoritism where, okay, so and so only brought one person, but they let them on. And I didn't I brought three, but you didn't let me on.
That is absolute bullshit, Mark. That is bullshit. For the land of freedom, the land where you can own guns, and you got to have 10 fucking people with you.
Yeah. You think of it this way too. Part of it is they want you, they give you, if you have friends that come, they get a free ticket, but then of course, then they have to, make a purchase drinks or something like that. So they think it's because they're getting the free ticket, because otherwise they'd be paying $15 to get in. So they're still saving a little bit, but I totally get it. It's just, it ends up being too much pressure because the Miami crowd is very much, we like to call it, they're on ish time. So if the show starts at 8, I'll be there at 8-ish. And sometimes they'll stroll in at 9. And I hate it, especially when it's comedians you're waiting for because, okay, you were supposed to be here 20 minutes ago to get on stage and you're just strolling in. So you're not getting on. But
Bro,
those are the kind of things. Like, don't be non-committal. If you're going to come, then come. And that's why I don't want to run any of the rooms. I do that way.
yeah, oh, 1,000,000%. I mean, I am. If I've got to be somewhere at 8 o'clock, if I am there at quarter, if I'm there at 5 to 8, I consider myself late. I've
Yeah.
always been a
Yeah.
15-minute guy early minimum.
Yeah.
I think it just shows the respect. And like, yeah, that's mad, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you say sort of comedy compares like in different states in America? Because obviously, like you banged out Florida whilst you've travelled,
Yep.
you've done it in Canada. Does it change per state to state?
It does a little bit. So what I've made sure I've done now in the past couple of years is when I'm traveling for work, I go out at night and try and get some stage time. And I think it's different. It's different levels of comedy. Like when I went to it's all in the South, Charlotte, North Carolina, or Atlanta, Georgia. It's a different next level caliber of people in there and incredibly diverse
Is it more
with what
ghetto
they
there?
do. It's actually not.
Right.
It's in
Okay.
some cases it's more elevated. Like you'll get people who are like a Kristen Key or somebody who's a musician who they'll play the guitar or their instrument and they'll be singing while they're doing their comedy. And usually the song is even hysterically funny.
Hmm.
So it's diverse in that way, which I thought was really interesting, which I'd love to see more of here in Florida.
Okay. Do you get many character comedians?
I'm sorry?
Many character comedians?
Some, I mean, and not necessarily, a lot of it is Trump impersonators. So I think that's pretty much the big thing that
Yeah.
we see.
I bet so many people were happy when Trump got re-elected. Not because he got re-elected, but because they could start doing their Trump character again.
Yeah.
Because
And
so
I mean,
many
I think
people. I've
it's an
even
easy
seen people in
character to
the
do.
I've even seen people in the UK do it, and it's like there's zero relevance. Like no one
Yeah.
really bangs out a Starmer one, to be honest.
Well,
So
I
you
love
know,
I love
over
misdirection
the
characters.
over the years doing your comedy, how would you say sort of like? your experience, and your like skill on stage has evolved?
I would say a lot of it's interesting because it's more internal and external. I
Okay.
found first internal meaning confidence, which okay, that's the easy part, but then also um, knowing who you are, owning who you are, and feeling comfortable and also vulnerable on stage, which I don't think comedians talk about a lot. Um, we'll talk more about the timing of a set or things like that. So I think that's there too. But sometimes what I found myself, if I'm really good with the mechanics, but I can't own myself and own the material, and that's usually where I'll have a bigger fail on stage and I'll bomb.
Okay. Do you use that terminology? Oh, he bombed, he killed it.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. It's weird how like in comedy you naturally learn this sort of universal slang.
Yep.
I mean, I love a good bomb. I've got to admit, and I've got to the point now where it doesn't. I don't care if I bomb or not, as long as I know I've gone out and given them my best show. Like sometimes
Hmm.
it's not your room, like, but 9 times
Totally.
out of 10, hopefully, hopefully it is. So, what sort of things do we joke about?
So me again, so much of it is storytelling, and I think it's evolving a little bit. But I talk a lot and embellish it about the whole situation with pancreatitis and
Yeah.
what it was like going for a colonoscopy, which is inherent. It's funny just based on several things. Messing with the nurses when they come in because it's like, okay, why do they ask you 5 times for the same question? Your name, your date of birth, why are you here? And I did mess with them. I finally said, I'm here for a C-section. And I'm like, it starts with a C.
Yeah.
And I worked it into a set because the funniest thing was afterwards when I woke up after anesthesia, the nurse comes in and she goes, "Congratulations, it was a boy."
Brilliant.
Yeah, that
Still
was
messing
funny.
with you,
And she
home.
thought,
Oh, that's
thought she
good.
had me. Thought she had me. And then 2 minutes later comes back and says, "Well, who's coming to pick you up?" And I whispered in her ear, "My baby daddy." So that
Oh,
was just one of those weird ones where like real life kind of says, "Okay, I can work that into a set, but that's 100% real."
mm.
I didn't have to
It is
remember.
good when sort of like comedy in real like when like you can actually do like properly do your comedy in front of a stranger there and then live in the moment, raw, not on stage,
Uh-huh.
and just almost like, oh god, I wish there was 100 people watching this right now. And then bloody stands an ovation. So
Yep,
okay,
totally.
going back then, what is the what is a joke you've done where looking back at the time you thought was killer, and now you look back and you think, why the hell I think that was funny?
Ha ha ha. I think there's so many. You have to think, okay, one example. Not the worst one. Probably the worst, absolute worst was I was there's this Argentinian cookie that is very popular in Miami and it's called an alfajor.
Alpha whore.
Yeah, exactly, right? So
Like a slut, but alpha male.
exactly, but the cookie itself and I guess it must have some meaning in Spanish and I'm like an alfajor. What is, why not just get a submissive one? Someone had asked me to buy them one, so I'm like, what the hell is this thing? And it's either got like that caramel dulce de leche filling, or sometimes it has like a buttercream filling in it. And
Okay. So is,
I,
is
I
that is
if
that
I
is that a come or shit reference?
well, that's where I went wrong because then I kind of made a reference of bukkake with it, and that totally it just bombed so badly.
I mean, do you
This is
think
this
like
is
you could?
everybody said, "Do you want hummer? Do I want bukkake?" And I'm like, and I did it not just once but twice, and I did it in front of much more of a gay progressive audience, thinking it was going to probably kill it, and it just was crickets. So that's probably the worst. And I really rewrote it in red because I save everything in Word documents. Kill that. It's done.
I mean, do you play primarily in front of like a LGBTQ and the rest of them audience, or like is it primarily
Not
like just
really.
anyone, everyone?
Anyone and everyone.
Okay, cool. Well, I can gift you my gay joke. It's the easiest joke in the
Okay.
world, and I love it. It kills all the time. Are there any gay people in the audience? Yes. Oh, thanks for coming out. So easy. So easy. You know, do you have
Yep.
any of them jokes in your set where it almost feels like it's cheating?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
do you feel
totally.
guilty using them, or sod it, funny's funny, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to make them laugh?
I'll try anything to make them laugh, but and then I think it depends. Is it the right moment? So sometimes I'll think, when did I say it? When did I put it in there? Because is it something that's is it more generic or is it specific? And if it's a little too specific, it may not be right in a certain moment.
Mm. Okay, fair
Like
enough.
one of the ones that I use all the time is this. I've got these like baggy striped pants that are just they're kind of fun. I thought they were really cool, but an audience member had called me out once saying, "You look like the senior citizen aging cancer victim version of the boy in the striped pajamas."
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, yeah, this is staying. This is good. So sometimes when I wear it, I'll just make if I wear those pants, I'll make that reference.
Okay. Oh, so, yeah. Sometimes the audience they can give you some absolute killers, can't they? And it's like, you know what? Next set,
Absolutely.
I'm going to use this one. To be honest.
Yep.
But I mean, how's like what is the with the crowd down in Florida? What is like? Do the audience interact a lot? Is there a lot of heckling? Is there a lot of crowd work that needs to be involved?
I think a lot of it's more comic initiated. So sometimes you'll hear people in the audience, and
Mm.
more often than not, you don't. More often than not, it's usually the comic looking at somebody in the audience and kind of going there.
Okay. I was like, oh, what do you do for a living? Or yeah,
Yeah.
the standard sort of package. And
Yeah.
how do you find crowd work?
It's interesting because again, it's all that being comfortable in your own skin because it's more like improv because you just don't know what's going to get thrown at you sometimes because you can't control it.
Okay. And
So and I think you're going to control it.
who would you say is the crowd work king right now in comedy?
Uh, let's see. Well, I think like who does it all the time is Jessica Kirsten, if you know her at all. So
Yep.
she's is it Michael Blaustein? He's funny. He's really
Yep.
good with crowd
Uh,
work.
Name an English one then.
Oh, that'll be more challenging for me.
Yep. And I might be biased in saying this because I
Yeah,
used to always say Matt Rife. Okay.
yeah. I'm
Have you
gonna say
heard
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
have you heard of Paul Smith?
I have not. I'll have to look him up.
Paul Smith from oh guys, you can slap me for this. He's either a scout, he's either from Liverpool or Manchester. I think he's a Mancunian. He's from Mancunian. He's the best crowd worker you'll ever see in your life. And like I'll say I'll give him props. Like yeah, because I think I think US v UK. I don't know. Is there sort of a main difference in comedy, or would you say no matter what, funny is funny?
I think no matter what, funny is funny. Some of it's cultural reference, sometimes it's age reference too, which I think a lot of times people will come up and they'll say something. And I've even had like a mentor work with me, and he was like, think of a younger audience. They may not get that reference. What could you do to make it broader so that everybody can understand it?
Okay, make it more sort of universal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. To be honest, yeah. So with the night you run, do you compare it? Yeah. Okay.
From,
MC it. You MC it. So okay, let's say hypothetically you've had me on the bill, okay,
yeah.
and I go up and I bomb. Not just bomb. I call everyone in the audience mums. I just do the most racist everything in the world. I get booed off the stage. As the compare, how do you react? How do you deal with the crowd? And how do you bring the room back?
I haven't encountered that yet, which is probably a good thing.
You haven't had me on your set yet, so you know.
Again, and it's like you've got to address it. So then how do you bring them back? I dealt with it actually when I did a perform actually I did a performance, and the guy who was up before me lost the crowd because he was talking about it was just gross about enjoying his wife wearing a diaper after eating Indian food and the smell, and it was like, yeah, but it went on for like almost 4 minutes. And how is this funny? And it just totally went sideways.
Oh,
So
okay.
I just got up on stage and I said, so. we've been talking a lot of shit tonight. Shall we continue? And then I
Uh,
went to the colonoscopy joke. So that was an easy segue for me. So I think sometimes you've just got to think in the moment how to win them back quickly and funnily without dwelling on it.
100%. And do you think sometimes, okay, if a comedian has done awful, is it okay to mug them off a bit? Like, if they've been a prick, can you then be a prick to them? Like, does that give you the green light?
I think I try to be sensitive to it, but I think in some ways you do get a little bit of a green light. So I think I poke, but I don't poke so much that I'm going to make an enemy out of someone.
Yeah,
I think I poke to get a point across, and that hey, enough was enough. That probably wasn't the best thing.
yeah. Well, I mean, on my personal opinion, there's nothing worse when a comedian's bombing, which is fine. We all do
Yeah,
it, but then they double down, and then they double down even more. And it's like
yeah.
you've got to, obviously this is a new thing, new comedians kind of. You got to
I-
read the room and say, okay, or pause and say to the crowd, "Oh, you didn't like that one, did you?"
yeah,
And then move on to something else. The ones who are like,
exactly.
right, it hasn't got a minute after it hasn't got a laugh after the first minute, hasn't got a laugh after the second minute. I'm gonna keep going down this road.
Yeah, it's that rabbit hole that we all have to avoid, and I'm guilty of it too.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, I am. I remember like I think it took me my fourth gig to get my first ever laughter, to be honest.
Mm,
And like my second gig, I did a gay joke in a room with about 12 people in here. The first audience member was a meter in front of me, and you couldn't see him. It was that dark of a room, and it was me just speaking into the abyss for 5 minutes. But I didn't know any better. But it was just like sort of learning. Oh, okay. Oh, I had a sleep last night. I thought of a question that I've never asked yet, and I wanted to
okay.
ask it. So, how do you make sure that you are learning and getting better after each time you're on stage?
That's a good point, and it's something I think all the time.
Good. I'm
Um,
proud. I'll give myself a backpack in a
and
while.
it's true. And one of the things, and I wrote this down last week. I was listening to just like this a podcast about like self growth and evolvement and stuff, and I just wrote this thing down that came to me was you treat every opportunity on stage as if you're performing for the biggest audience ever, or you're performing in front of a critic who could hire you, whether it's a minute or 5 minutes. So to basically always try and bring your best and not to think of a room or any kind of venue as something that's okay, this place doesn't matter. Everything matters because you never know who's there, number one. But then at the same point, then going back and continuing to edit materials and then also learning not to don't over edit and then learning yourself. Because part of what I found is that I'll get so stuck in my head and I'll edit and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite that by the time you go to perform, you're basically either all mechanical or you're just bombing because you become so you're not self-aware, you're self-conscious.
Mm. Yeah, no. Okay, so after you've done a set, how do you make sure you've learned from it?
Um,
That was the
I'll
pre.
ask.
What's the post?
In some cases, I'll ask for feedback, but then again, if I videotaped it, which is usually one of the worst things for me because I hate having to. I mean, I think we all do. We all hate having to watch ourselves,
Mm.
but really, that's the best learning tool, even though you cringe sometimes. What
Yeah.
could I have done? What could I have done better? But then also equally, what went well that surprised you? Because I think it needs to be the dual learning piece of it. Because in some cases,
I like
we
that.
are either as comedians, we're either our own worst critic, which can ruin us, or we're so overconfident that we think we're the greatest when we're not. So it's how do you marry the two and just continue to become better?
I mean, 100. I agree. I think we do beat ourselves up before we applaud ourselves way too quickly in life,
Yeah.
and it is important to just take a step back sometimes to say, you know what, I'm doing okay, I'm doing all
Yeah.
right, and before you started comedy, did you sort of think, oh, I'm gonna get into comedy, I'm gonna smash it, I'm gonna be the next big thing, and then you looked at like the open mic level and you were like, raw, I mean, they're all killers, like everyone's good.
I think Like growing up, I wanted to be an actor more than anything else, but
Okay.
I knew that and I was the fat kid in school. I was always the one that was made fun of. So humor became my weapon of choice to get out there. So I could deflect, I could be sarcastic, and I think so. I utilized it that way, but I didn't really necessarily see myself getting into stand up immediately. And I think I was when I started it like 10 years ago, I was much more intimidated because you saw people who probably had done it a lot more and had been much more, they're more comfortable doing it. And then you realize, wow, there's a lot more to this than meets the eye.
Hmm.
Because people who make it natural and flawless or seem that way is a talent.
100%. Yeah, they make it look easy, but it's a skill form. So you've been in it for say around 10 years now. What's sort of like the comedy world been like pre-COVID, post-COVID?
I think, like pre-COVID, it wasn't as huge. I think it's been evolving quite a bit. And I think during COVID, we all needed that kind of place to laugh. And we watched a lot of videos, we watched a lot of things. So I think we really learned that about the importance of laughter. And then it's just exploded so much in the US since COVID. Um, there's rooms everywhere. Like if I wanted, I could probably be on stage 7 nights a week if I could be.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do think even in the UK, I think the open mic level, there's more and more clubs popping up, so it is a growing thing for the amateur level.
Yeah,
So
totally.
I think it's very exciting to be part of it. I mean, I'm excited to do a pod on it. Like it's also like that it is amazing. It is an amazing journey to be involved with. Okay, one I love asking then. What's the worst thing you've ever seen someone do on stage?
Oh, well, I think the one we were just talking about is way up there with the diapers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that is fucked.
That was bad. That was kind of, yeah, that was tough. And it's so subjective. I think people lose me when it's just utilizing bad language and talking about genitals in a bad way that it's like they're just getting a cheap laugh, but going down the rabbit holes.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know if you know that read the book Finding Your Comic Genius by Adam Bloom.
Mhm.
Yeah, have you read it?
No, but I know it.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's
I've,
on the
I've had
list.
I've had him on here. He was awesome,
Yeah.
and he taught me a lot about swearing. Now I don't swear in my set for the first half because then you've taken away all the juice from a swear word.
Yep.
Wait till the end and then wait to use it for effect.
Hmm.
I hate people who just swear about sort of anything because it takes it away. Oh, okay, one thing I did notice actually watching I watch Kill Tony every Monday.
Yep.
I watch it. One thing I've noticed about America, and one thing I've noticed about Australia, which we don't do much in this country, in the UK, we don't talk about drugs as much, and we don't talk about I got stoned or smoking so much weed and
Yep.
things like that. It seems to be quite a almost like an open segue in comedy in America.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. And I think some of it is because what is very prevalent in open mics and even in people who are doing performances is that they're coming onto the stage completely high.
Oh,
And
what?
usually with weed.
Yeah, but a lot of people in the UK we all smoke weed. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
anymore, but we all do. But we'd never go on stage and be like, "Oh, I'm really high," because to me, I would think, "Right, you're unprofessional."
Hmm.
Like that'd be my
Yeah.
2 cents on it.
And I think if you're talking about incessantly, then it definitely is that way. Maybe you can get away with it a little bit more on an open mic, but on stage you can. There was even like I went to see a really famous comedian, gosh, like maybe 4 months ago in a bigger theater, a bigger venue, and she basically was talking about all the edibles she ate before she came on stage and how much she drank, and
Mm.
you could see it affect you could see it in the performance. So at that point, it was kind of like you realized that this isn't part of your set. This is actually something that's happening to you live on stage that maybe you didn't want to tell us.
Yeah, I mean, I do. Do I challenge that a little bit? I mean, if you're going to see the show or you're going to see them, then it's different. It's nice seeing them at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I still see both angles from that. I'll tell you what I would ask. Yeah, Mark? How do you even write a joke? What's your formula?
I would say I've got a couple of different ones, especially from the storytelling angle. A lot of times I'll have something in that kind of vein that I want to work on, and then I just really think of, okay, what's funnier about it? Can I misdirect it? Or if it's something that's really true that's happening, or I saw that happen to someone,
Mm,
what would make it funnier? And it doesn't necessarily have to be truthful, but it just needs to be funny. And I think, part of that was there's that was a bit that I started working on about tattoos. And I'd had a piece that I had already done, but then I just thought it was hilarious because this lady was telling us she always wanted to have a tattoo,
yeah,
but never got one. And the only one she would ever get was a tattoo of her son's name so he'd never forget where he came from.
brilliant, brilliant.
And I was like, okay, this is gold because this is just there's just way too much I can go from here. So usually in my phone, I'll keep like a list. I'll usually Google Keep because I'm an Android user. So I'll write those little things down and then I start writing, okay, what would be some of the questions I would ask
Okay,
this person?
so I mean, like, would you do like the Jerry Seinfeld? Would you sit down for like a fixed amount of time a day to write, or is it sort of just as it comes along to you?
I've tried both. I think it's for me, it's super grueling to say I need a certain time of the day to set aside to write because inevitably I will get writer's block there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm the same.
Usually I let go, and then surprisingly, where a lot of the best humor comes from, or where something gets worked out, is when I'm in the shower. I can't tell you why, but usually it's like all of a sudden something starts flowing, and I get out of the shower, and it's like, okay, I need to write this down right away, and that usually is some of the more genius stuff that ends up coming from my mind.
A lot of people say mine's 3 o'clock in the morning. I always go through my I basically go through my bits in the shower, but obviously I do. I go so like I like do you like with your stories, do you title them? So like I've got like Dave's social
Yeah.
media and my
Hmm.
social media bit about a stereotypical guy called Dave who where like a fake model obviously adds you. That's obviously a bot. And it's like obviously they want me to sell their nudes, but you've always got that one mutual friend with them called Dave.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
Dave social media set. Dave, let me do the Dave bit. Twin. Okay, let me do the twin bit. That's what I do
Yeah.
in like shower time, to be honest.
Yeah. I pretty much do the same thing. I need to shorten the titles because some of them are a little too long, but
I've got it like twin, social media, football, soccer, sorry, but football.
yeah.
Um Sharia law, gay marriage. It's like the weirdest headings. God, the headings make it sound awful, but that's just like the way I like sort of do it to myself. I see
Yeah.
going down the sort of line a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
okay, from American perspective, can you joke about anything?
I think I can. And at the same point, I also want to have, in some cases, a little bit of research before I really open my mouth. And I think the case in point with that right now is everything that's happened in the past week in the US with Charlie Kirk and everything. Like, there's a lot you could say, but at the same point, I'd never even heard of the guy before this whole thing happened.
Oh, okay.
Um, so
But
have
I
I
mean,
been?
a lot of people jump on a bandwagon because it's easy
Yeah,
clickbait. It's cheap clicks,
yeah,
but it's happening from both sides, which I
exactly.
absolutely hate. Obviously, you're Democratic Republic, aren't you? Democratic people are laughing at it, getting cancelled, like, but they're trying to get clickbait. The right are trying to say, oh, like, because it's an important thing, but the right be like, oh my god, we care so much. No, you're also trying to get clickbaits, but you're trying to do it from a
Mhm.
fucking pious thing. Nobody is that caring. We're all self-absorbed, and everyone says, "How can I? Everyone, can I monetize this from a laughing angle or from a grieving angle?" Everyone's doing the fucking same.
Yep.
I probably did it just then, subconsciously.
Yeah.
Like we're all whores at the end of the day. We're all whores for
Totally.
that dopamine fix.
Totally.
So
Yep.
yeah, that's my like sort of 2 cents on the matter. But I think you can joke about anything you want, anything in life you can joke about. You just need to be prepared for the consequences that could come your way.
Yeah.
And being on the stage, you can say anything you want on the stage, but you've got to also say, well, I can say it, but the audience can also not like me for it.
Hmm.
And I think that's fair game. That are the
Yep.
rules in place, and perfect utopian society. Freedom of speech is fine, but I have the freedom to think you're a dickhead.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, would you agree on that?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Good, like civil. Different places. So what's the ideal dream? What would you like out of comedy, and what do you get out of comedy?
Um, I mean, I really love it. I don't know how it gets under your skin, but it just totally gets there for you. So, I think, do we all become famous? Absolutely. Why can't we become famous? I think that would be phenomenal. But, one of the things that also had come to me in the past year is also the ability to make someone laugh is also a gift. And to also think about it from a slightly different perspective, that when you're getting on stage, it's an opportunity to not just share a part of yourself, but you're sharing a gift of laughter, and you don't know what that's going to mean to some kind of audience member. And in some cases, all it means is that it's, someone came in and they had a really crappy day or a crappy week or something really bad is going on, and you got them to laugh for 20 minutes solid or an hour solid, and it lightens their load. But then in some cases, it may mean more, and I don't necessarily know what all of that means yet, but that's I want to keep going from that
I
angle
I,
and then
I,
continue to become better.
I love that. So it's like your responsibility almost to society. It's your way of giving back.
Yeah.
Like yeah. So all comedians are heroes. Yeah,
Possibly. Yeah.
possibly. No, I know that's how we're going to be. All comedians are heroes. If you don't like it, you're the villain. To be honest,
Exactly. Yeah, that works. That works.
I love it. So I'll do this one. What's been your favourite moment on stage or in comedy in general, and what time have you personally bombed the hardest?
Um, I think my best is really learning to riff a little bit in the moment and to play off of what's happened on stage before, or working or and getting to have that, and so, for lack of a better term, we overuse it, emotional intelligence, when you're just reading what's going on in the room, and then have people come up afterwards and tell you you nailed it. I see how much more confident you are. So those are those kind of better, more life-defining moments. And I think honestly, my toughest was I actually did my first 30-minute set this summer at a gay and lesbian art festival.
Cool.
And so there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened leading up to it where I didn't get the stage time I needed. And I'm like this, analytical Capricorn kind of person where I literally had every open mic and every stage time planned out for 2 months in advance of what I was going to try on what date. And
Mhm.
life blew up and everything went awry. So
Nothing goes to
it was,
plan ever, does it?
and it was just I went over my time, which was first of all not really fantastic, um, but I didn't own the second half of the performance, which is what I had been working so hard for. The first like 15, 20 was great. The last 10, I completely, all the flaws showed.
Uh,
And I watched it back and I watched it back and I watched it back and I was just cringing.
yeah, 30 minutes is a long time. Like to be honest, the most I've ever done
Yeah.
is a 20. To be honest, and that felt like a lifetime. Like which is yeah, it's weird because I can speak on a pod for 2 hours, but I can't. I got ADHD, so I get bored myself. To be honest, on stage. Okay, go, Mark. I'll end it with this one. I always love
Yeah.
asking. Someone comes up to you. They've never done comedy before, and they say to you, like, Mark, what advice could you give me? What would you say to them? And you can't say just do it.
Hmm. I probably have to start with a question of, do you think you're funny?
Okay. Yes, I do.
Yeah, and usually that's what the answer you're going to get. And what do you think is the difference between being funny in life and then being funny on stage? And then seeing, what they say, but I think really it's getting them to think first and then saying, hey, come on out and try. You want to try writing stuff down. So the advice would be really to write and think of a premise, think of a story or whatever you want to tell, and then how would you make it funny to a bunch of strangers?
Okay, that's interesting. It's actually, yeah, get them to think about it before instead of answering it for them. Don't tell them
Yeah,
what to do. Sort of try and get them to come to that conclusion themselves. And would
yeah.
you recommend doing comedy courses and things like that?
I give them the ins and the outs of everything. So kind of like what you can learn from it. I'd probably invite them to because I'm just really fortunate because we have this great writers room here where it's like a free comedy course because you just get feedback from the comics and feedback from this amazing guy, Big Pedro, who leads it, who he knows how to run a room. So he knows how to shut people down when they're heckling and not being kind. And he knows how to just kind of say, okay, let's try this and then go from there. So I would say try something like that and then hey, go to some open mics, try it out and
Okay, so like
learn from
almost like a comedy
experience.
workshop.
Yeah,
Yeah, like come part of a community.
yeah,
Find your people in comedy, and that's the best bit also in comedy. When you when you found your people, you found your friends in
yeah,
it, and then when you end up being on the same bill with each other, it's gonna be a fun
yeah.
night to be honest, and roast of shit. Yeah, brilliant. Mark, it's been absolutely brilliant, man. Thank you ever so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's my first podcast
Oh, is
ever.
it okay? Well, yeah, you did
Cheers.
swimmingly. Don't worry,
Yeah.
it's my 112th. So you know, still learning myself to be honest. But it's weird how because we all do comedy, but we rarely, well, not myself included anymore. We never actually talk about the theory, the core of it.
Uh-huh,
Like
totally.
they'll watch you for 10, 15, 20 on stage, but they'll never see the intricate bits inside, the bits that make you tick, and
Yeah.
where you
And
came from.
I've enjoyed that with your podcast too, because I've watched a few of the episodes and then followed some of the performers that you've had on. And it really just helps to watching them on your podcast and then watching them on stage and kind of in reverse of appreciating even more who they are and their talent and what they've gone through to get there.
100, and like I said, you make friends along the way.
Yeah.
Like so many of, like I don't think I've had. Okay, I'll say this now. I think I've had 5 people on the pod who I'm better than at comedy. All the others, they've all been amazing. They're all brilliant, and I watch their stuff. And I'm just like, I'm jealous. They're all so
Mhm.
good. They're all so funny, and it's all just open mic to semi-professional levels. It's crazy how good people are. Like, yeah, crazy. Anyways, Mark, thanks ever so much for coming on, man.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Daniel. Okay.
Like,